got some parts in for the arrma kraton here. During our last bash session, we broke the front bumper here. So, yeah, no, not really anybody's fault, but you know, things happen when you're out having fun, and this thing took, I think it was an arrma Big Rock 6S, if I'm not mistaken, straight to the face, and it broke the front bumper. So, nobody's fault really, just having fun and things happen. So I picked up the RPM front bumper for it, and while I was out, while I was looking, I seen a rear skid plate, so I went ahead and picked that up as well. What this will do is make the mounting position for this front bumper 4 holes instead of 2, and it'll actually put a plastic plate back here to help avoid grinding all this up on rocks and things like that. So this should be a pretty straightforward procedure. Just going to dig all the dirt out of the holes back here, out of the screws. Mowed my track, got it all set up to move your tail please, to be clean enough to drive on. It had been neglected for a couple of years. It's just these 4 screws back here. It's really easy to find them. Hopefully the rear bulkhead doesn't fall. It should be held up pretty good with that top brace and everything. And plus I'm putting pressure on the wing, which is connected to the shock tower, so hopefully it'll stay in place. I don't know, I've never had this part of this truck taken apart before. If you ask me something like a Slash 4x4 chassis or a Revo chassis, I am intimately familiar with those because I've had those trucks for so long. I know every little piece and part of those chassis, but this arrma kraton 6S, I really haven't dug into it all that much. So, yeah, here's those 4 screws. And now RPM is going to send you new screws with this rear plate. It's got an indentation to fit over that little hump for your diff clearance or whatever it's for. I'm assuming diff clearance. You'll have to forgive my cat. I brought in a new box for them. So, I mean, that's pretty much all there is to that. And then we put the new screws in. There's not even any instructions with this. It's so straightforward. So, yeah. When I broke the front bumper on this, I actually broke the screws off in it, so I'll have to grab my vice grips and pull those screws out real quick before we put the new one on. But not a huge deal. What this is, as I explained in the beginning of the video, it's just a sacrificial plate so that the plate gets wear and tear instead of the actual chassis on this truck. So, and you can tell this chassis is taking quite a beating. I have really put this truck through some serious abuse. I mean, I've had things happen to this truck where I was sure it was broke. It's been slammed face first into curbs at full speed. Now, given that's on 4S, not 6S, but still, that's probably one of the reasons why the front bumper broke. But yeah, once I was letting my cousin drive it, and he, you know, having little experience in the hobby, he just hit a curb at full speed with it. Hit the curb, did a flip, landed wheels down, and I was like, yeah, that broke it. And I didn't even get time to check on it before he took off and started driving it again. And I was like, well, all right then. And the second time was at one of the Bash and Thrash events with our local group. I was standing on the back side of a ramp. I couldn't see the area directly behind the ramp. So when I was running up to it, I actually went off to the side and slammed a curb instead of hitting the ramp. This thing has been a tank, man. I could definitely, if somebody's looking to get into the 8th scale hobby and just looking for a truck that you could beat the heck out of, I really can recommend the arrma kraton 6S. It has been a tank in my experience, and Yeah, I like it. Alright, so there's that rear bumper put on there. The screws are in nice and tight. There's no gaps around the side. It's flush to the chassis. Nothing's binding it up. Yep. Alright, now I gotta pull these front screws out. Actually, funny story, when I broke the bumper, I have the video on YouTube of that bash session. After breaking the bumper, I kept driving this because I didn't know it was broken. And through all the jumps and hits and everything, this still here, this brace, actually never popped off. It stayed in place through all of the bashing and stuff we were doing with this truck, and yeah, it just didn't pop off. And when I got it home and started looking, I was like, oh wow, I thought, I was like, I'm surprised I didn't lose that piece. Alright, so let me get these screws out, and I'll be right back. Alright, that was far easier than I expected it to be. Here's the two screws I had to pull out. Snapped the, actually I didn't snap the heads clean off of them. I snapped the screws clean in half. So, I don't think one hit from, again, I can't remember what hit it, but whatever it was is what actually broke that bumper. I am very rough with this truck, and I am also kind of unskilled at what I attempt. Backflips, front flips, things like that. I've nosedived this truck more times than I can remember. So, quite honestly, it was probably just ready to break, and that final hit from that truck is what sheared the screws. So again, not going to blame anybody. Nobody's at fault. It's just what happens. This truck took a 5th scale to the face. There's a video from quite a while back. Me and my friend Justin were out. I was driving this, and he was driving a Baja 5B. And he just nailed this thing right in the face at full speed. So, again, nobody's fault. Things happen. Alright, let's get these two front screws out of here. Plate there will come off. Alright, one thing I'm going to do real quick before anything else, y'all may not be able to see this very well, I'll try to make it to where you can. This bumper setup installs a little differently than stock. So I'll just show you all that real quick and how all that works. This is your front bumper piece, which is actually keyed into the shape of the plate. That's cool. This is your plate. And then this here is your new hinge pin retainer. So we put the aluminum hinge pin back on, our hinge pin retainer back on. Which direction does this go in? This always gets me. I think I got it backwards because it goes down over the plate there, doesn't it? Yeah, that's going to go down over that plate. I think. Yeah, there we go. Alright. And then our new plate to hold our hinge pins in is actually going to go there, and then we put our screws back in. Now, I actually like that design because these are the screws that broke with the stock bumper. Now when you hit something, that force is going into the bumper and not these screws. I won't speak to whether that's a stronger or weaker setup, but I will speak to the fact that this bumper is quite a bit thicker and wider than the stock, and it's held on with 4 screws instead of just 2. So with that being the design plans on that, when you're hitting something, hopefully this will hold up better than stock. So hopefully also they included the screws for this front plate. If not, I'm going to have to dig around and find some. We got those. We got these. Oh, there's some nuts included in there. I may actually have to read the directions. What are those for? Lock nuts. Let's see here. Whoops, I bumped you. Where'd the M4 lock nuts go? This is for the V5. I didn't see that. Hopefully this works. Into the skid plate. Oh, I know. I get it now. Alright, so it's going to be keyed right up here. Yeah, okay. That's where the lock nuts go, right in here. They're actually keyed in. And that is so that part has something to screw into. Alright, simple enough. Alright, got those nuts in there. What size screws are we using? M4 by 12. And then the M4 by 16s are going to go in the bottom. Alright. M4 by 12. M4 by 12. I knocked these, or I brought these out. Alright. Judging by the looks of it, those are what's going to hold your little front hinge pin retainer plate on. They are way too small compared to those, so these are going to go for your front plate right here, which is actually what I'm about to do now. So yeah, you're just going to put these back into the stock holes, run them in. Plate is installed. Now go ahead and flip this upside down. I can take this and the front bumper here. It's pretty self-explanatory. This is actually cut out to fit snug around this front plate. Once you get that lined up, we are going to use, let me read these instructions one more time. I think it was the shorter ones for this. M4 by 12 to hold this piece to here. And then M4 by 16 to hold this to the chassis. So we're going to use these shorter ones. Okay. These hold the, this package holds the ones for here. We also got to take these rear ones out. I can't forget about that. Okay. If y'all have never done this before, be a little careful, because if you just push that through, you're going to push that lock nut back out, and then you got to seat it in that little milled out area for a hex. So just kind of, what I would actually do is push it through there first, and then put it on there. Hold your finger over the back of that so you can put pressure without pushing the nut out. Are all the same size? Let me make sure one more time. Yes, all four M4 by 16. And that just fits over like that. And then we screw it into place. %of the people watching this right now aren't even watching this. They're watching the cats over there in the box. Hey, y'all be nice. Alright. Give these one more little snug down. And there we go. Front and rear RPM skid plate, and, or well, I should say RPM rear skid plate and front RPM bumper. It's actually got more flex than the stock one did too. We find my body. See how it sits with that front bumper. Oh yeah, it looks good. I wish it was a little further back, tucked into the body a little more, but it's almost even with the front of my tires. So if I land flat, this is going to take the impact, and these tires aren't going to transfer all the force through the A-arms anymore. Of course, if it lands anything other than perfectly flat, you're still going to get stressed through the A-arms, but it's a little further forward protection, a little more flexible protection, and yeah, I like it. It looks good with it. So there you go. RPM rear skid plate and RPM front bumper for the arrma Kraton 6S. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see y'all next time.